Hello, I am Jay, and this is Relax with Jay. I create calming videos that allow you to relax and or drift off to sleep. If you enjoy my videos and find them helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe, and click on the notification bell. I hope you enjoy this video and may it bring you restful sleep. Tonight, I'll be reading the first chapter of the book called The Evolution of the Short Story by William J. Dawson and Coningsby W. Dawson. If you enjoyed this chapter and would like me to read more, please let me know. The Evolution of the Short Story. The short story commenced its career as a verbal utterance, or as Robert Louis Stevenson puts it, with the first men who told their stories round the savage campfire. It bears the mark of its origin, for even today it is true that the more it creates the illusion of the speaking voice, causing the reader to listen and to see, so that he forgets the printed page, the better does it accomplish its literal purpose. It is probably an instinctive appreciation of this fact which has led so many latter-day writers to narrate their short stories in dialect. In a story which is communicated by the living voice, our attention is held primarily not by the excellent deposition of adjectives and poise of style, but by the striding progress of the plot. It is the plot, and an action in the plot, along which we remember when the combination of words which convey and made the story real to us has been lost to mind. Cuirass recoiling from the footprint, Achilles shouting over against the Trojans, Ulysses bending the great bow, Christian running with his fingers in his ears. These are each culminating moment, and each has been printed on the mind's eye forever. The secondary importance of the detailed language in which an incident is narrated when compared with the total impression made by the naked action contained in the incident is seen in the case of ballad poetry, where a man may retain a vivid mental picture of the localities, atmosphere, and dramatic moments created by Coleridge's Ancient Mariner or Rossetti's White Ship, and yet be quite incapable of repeating two consecutive lines of the verse. In literature of narration, whether prose or verse, the dramatic worth of the action related must be the first consideration. In earlier days, when much of the current fiction was not written down but traveled from mouth to mouth, as it does in the Orient today, this fact must have been realized that in the short story, plot is superior to style. Among modern writers, however, there has been a growing tendency to make up for satanicies of plot by high literal workmanship. The result has been, in reality, not a short story, but a descriptive sketch of Venette, dealing chiefly with moods and landscapes. So much has this been the case that the writer of the recent practical treatise on the art of the short story has found it necessary to make the bland statement that the first request of a short story is that the writer have a story to tell. However, lacking the stories have been come down to us from ancient times may be in technique. They invariably narrate action. They have something to tell. If they had not done so, they would not have been interesting to the men who first heard them. And had they not been interesting, they would not have been survived. Their paramount worth in this respect of action is proved by the constant borrowings which modern writers have made from them. Take one case in the illustration. In the 28th chapter of Illustrious Secretum Citrum appears a story in which a queen of India is said to have treacherously sent Alexander among other costly presents, the pretend testimonies of friendship, a girl of exquisite beauty, who, having been fed with serpents from her infancy, partook of their nature. It comes to light again in an altered and expanded form in the Gesta Romanorum as the 11th tale, being entitled of the poison of sin. Alexander was a prince of great power and a discipline of Illustrial, who instructed him in every branch of learning. The Queen of the North, having heard of his proficiency, nourished her daughter from the cradle upon a certain kind of deadly poison, and when she grew up, she was considered so beautiful that the sight of her alone affected many to madness. The queen sent her to Alexander to oppose. He had no sooner beheld her than he became violently enamored, and with much eagerness desired to possess her. But Illustrial, observing his weakness, said, "Do not touch her, for if you do, you will certainly perish. She has been nurtured upon the most delectable food, which I will prove to you immediately. Here is a malefactor who is already condemned to death. He shall be united to her, and you shall soon see the truth of what I advance." Accordingly, the culprit was brought without delay to the girl, and scarcely had he touched her lips before his whole frame was impregnated with poison, and he expired. Alexander, glad at his escape from such imminent destruction, bestowed all thanks on his instructor and returned the girl to her mother. After which follows the monkish application of the moral. As long as the entire story, Alexander being made to stand for a good Christian, the Queen of the North for a superfluity of the things of life, which sometimes destroys the spirit and generally the body, the poison made for luxury and gluttony, which feed men with delicacies that are poison to the soul, Aristotle for the conscience and reason, which reprove and oppose any union which would undo the soul, and the malefactor for the evil man, disobedient unto his God. There have been at least 3 writers of English fiction who, borrowing this gem plot from the Gesta Romanorum, have handled it with distinction and originality. Nathaniel Hawthorne have changed its period and given it an Italian setting, wove about it one of the finest and most imaginative of his short stories, Rappaccini's Daughter. Oliver Wendell Holmes, with a freshness and vigor all his own, developed out of its fictional biography of Elise Venner, and so recent a writer as Mr. Richard Garner, attracted by the subtle and magic possibilities of the conception, has given us yet another rendering, restoring to the story its classic setting in The Poison Maid. Thus, within the space of 100 years, 3 master craftsmen have found their inspiration in the slender anecdote which Aristotle, in the opulence of his genius, was content to hurry into a few sentences and bury beneath the mass of his material.